Welcome back, everybody, to another League of Inches podcast, the Supercoach Tradies show. It's been one of the favorites since I've introduced it and tried to split up the Supercoach side of things. And you're all loving it. You're all getting your trades in each and every week. This week is no different. So we will get to that. You know how it normally works. So it's basically the trades first for myself and Jesse. We'll talk a bit about the top 10 in and out, which I think will be pretty interesting to talk about this week with a lot of things happening. And then we'll talk about your trades as well. But at the start, it is sort of the team list Tuesday sort of shows. We missed that last night, prior commitments, and just the fact that on these Origin rounds, we're just going to do the one show each week. We're going to, I don't think there's enough to talk about for the 2 days. It's not going to be basically repeating itself. So we're just going to try to make it a bit easier for you guys. To start off with, we're not going to go through the team list as such because it's going to take us way too long. I think everyone by now knows pretty much what's happening with if you're a keen Supercoach player anyway, so you don't want to know about the couple of players that are making their debuts and stuff that'll probably be in the team for a week or two and out they go. So we're just going to talk about, first off, our thoughts around this next period. It's a huge period for Supercoach. There's a lot of movement that can be made when we talk about overalls and head-to-head wins, etc. And all different comps are set up differently. Like, it's just a complete shit show, if I'm being honest, the next 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to see how we're both tackling this and our thought processes around it. So, Jesse, first of all, if you haven't joined the subby group yet, please make sure you do it. It's $2.99 a month. Huge exclusive content for in-game comments, after-game comments, and Jesse's on board now doing some Supercoach stuff. He's done a huge write-up in terms of just some ways to go about this period as well. Guys, it's brilliant. It's stuff that you normally get charged $7-8 a month for with Supercoach and stuff. So you're getting it with us for $2.99, and it is content you really want to watch. So you really want to read and have access to, but that's only at the subbies group on Facebook. Go ahead there. Jesse, talk to us a bit about your planning at the moment. I know you did very well last year, so I want to know how you sort of went about things last year, and then if that's into play for this year or you've learnt and picked up some new things to try.
Last year I put a lot of emphasis in it last year, and I obviously started playing it last year too. So it was quite new in general to everyone that had played Supercoach before, not just me playing for the first time. I'd played NRL Fantasy for the first time, hadn't had to worry about major buy rounds leading up to that year. So it was a first for basically everyone. A lot of people don't plan for buys, and they're very proud to say that they're not interested in planning for buys. It's unnecessary, and to an extent, yes, kind of is. But in anything that you do in life, you put a little bit of effort in, you plan ahead, you just know what's upcoming, and things will naturally work out a little bit better for you because you've put that extra bit of effort in. Not to say that like people playing aren't going to go mad. Wow, Dave Fafita, look at that. How good is he? I'm just going to buy him this week. He's not playing this week. Like, it's just obviously not going to happen that way. Well, and anyone that's bulk stacking their team full of Roosters this week because they all look really appealing, you lose them all for next week. So you have to have a relatively good idea where the major buys fall into, where the mini buys fall in. In every other round, barring 13, 16, and 19, you need to field a full team. I've got a couple of Dolphins and a couple of Roosters and one Raiders player. I've lost them all next week. So that in itself is going to be its own issues to fix. But you just want to make sure that you've got, coverage. It's not an issue if you have coverage. So that's the biggest thing to just make note of. But yeah, basically the way that I'm sort of looking at it is just have a look ahead at the teams that have obviously got good buy coverage. The Dolphins are the best. They play all the major buys. They're out next round, but they still play all the big ones, which is perfect. Like, it's so ideal. I planned weeks ago for those things, and I got in players that I wanted for it. Azarko, Marshall King. I think other players here and there have popped up in the meantime, which is expected week to week. Ewan Aitken is a really nice one that's popped up. Herbie had a massive game. So there's a few of those Dolphins players that are killing it. Obviously, the Roosters are flying massively at the moment, so they're always a great option. Tedesco's not picked anymore, so he becomes fantastic for the first time. We kind of get Tedesco at the expense of Manu at fullback. But again, you have Tedesco at fullback, so it's fine. And Manu's been doing a shift anyway at centre, so I don't think it really matters. He's going to score 90 at centre, or he's going to score 100 at fullback. at a baseline. So yeah, these guys are guns, and they're going to be given regardless. And I think you just want them in your team anyway. I don't think you need to really put the whole buy emphasis on getting those sort of guns in, if you plan on having them for the long term. So basically, yeah, that's kind of really it though. Like, I'm not dismantling my side to stack them full of teams that have a good rounds in the next 8 weeks. It's more so just you only need to field 13. So this week I've got 14. Um, with Blaze Talungi as one of them, and I expect him to be dropping out of my top 13 scorers quite easily because he's coming off the bench. And then I'm just going to run with my 13. If it means that my next week it looks decent for a full 17, I've got players in 16. At the moment, my 19 isn't very nice, which will be the case for most people. Um, just get ready for it. You know what I mean? Just in advance. Don't wait until round 19 in case you've got injuries to sort out. You don't want to be boosting ideally if you can avoid it. You only need 13 players, so you can kind of get around it a little bit. Um, but yeah, if I'm going to make a trade now for anyone, it's going to be because they also play in the next buy, or they play in the mini buys where I need them. So I wouldn't be looking at getting in um, someone who misses maybe 16 in the next mini buy, or 19's a bit far away at the moment to really be too concerned about. So I'm not too worried about missing in round 19. But um, yeah, at least the next 3 weeks, 3 4 weeks, if you've got that sort of down pat up to round 17 with the minis, I think you just put yourself in a better position to make proactive trades when they come. Someone pops up and they look amazing, and you think, I need this guy now, but I also only have 10 players on the field. Um, and it doesn't really work out for you to get that particular player. You're kind of going to miss boats where it's a good position to. Like, it's a really good opportunity to boost up, and you only need 13 for these rounds. Like, you don't need to get 16, 18 players, just so you have more chance to get those max scores. Some majority won't have a full 13 in buys. You might be able to get away with, if you've got 13, you're fine. Honestly, you're laughing, enjoy it, don't stress about it. I reckon the average will probably be anywhere from like 10 to 13 realistically, but 10 to 12. I know a lot of people missing a few, making 3 trades, only getting to their 12. So, the numbers are always better. But again, it doesn't take a lot. We've seen players score 140s, you know what I mean? If you've got 13 and they all score shit, somebody with 10 has a mad round, they're going to outscore you anyway. So there's things you can't, you can't avoid certain score lines, but I think you just put yourself in a good position and just kind of be
Yeah.
aware of things. Don't let it force your hand too often. So that's, yeah, a little bit of a spiel, I'd say.
Um, I'm sort of I'm going with the flow. I reckon is the best way to stay for me at the moment because I'm not going to put all my eggs in the basket for this buy period. I'm not going to clean my team out and lose, say, guns that I think are going to be crucial in the run home just to get like my team 13 players strong. Like for this week, for instance, you'll see when we talk about trade shortly, I think I'm 1 or 2 players short for that 13 mark, but I'm very confident with the players that I do have that I should still be able to score quite well with, say, 11 players or 12, whatever I do have. So that's not too bad. And the other thing is there could be a lot of players out there that have, say, 13 players playing, but they could also have 2, 3 players who are like bench players or something, and they're not going to get huge scores. They're just going to plod along and get you maybe a 10 or so, a 20 or something like that. So don't go out of your way to tear your teams apart. I don't think you can make some big moves. That 100%. The other thing I personally have made sure I've done, like for this week's trades, I want to get majority of them. Like, yes, you might have to make one trade or something to free up some cash, but I still want to be getting in my guns that I want to stay with and stick with in the run home, and ideally. So I'm not just going to trade someone in just to cover me for this week and go, oh yeah, that's this week. I'm moving on from him. I'm having someone who covers this week is also someone I can keep moving forward. So I'm not completely ripping my team apart because I look at trades and yeah, I'm still got I think 21 or something still, which feels like a lot, but more I think about it, they're going to go quickly. So I'm going to start to become a bit careful with my trades, especially over the next couple of weeks, and just not completely obliterate my team because I know I'll want to get a lot of those players back in 6 or so weeks, and it'll fly by. The next 6 day weeks will fly by, and all of a sudden you're going, oh, why did I get rid of say Hines when I want him in the matter of a few weeks' time? So that's just an example for how I'm playing. It might be wrong, might be completely wrong. You can blow us up at the comments, but you've heard from both me and Jesse how we're sort of attacking this period, and we'll talk about the trades. We'll probably give you a better understanding as well of where we're at with some things. And I'll leave Jesse till last. They say the best till last. I'm locking in these trades this week. So I'm going the 3. I'm not going the 4. I'm not using a boost. I've only got 1 boost left as well. So I'm leaving that. I'm going Taylor May. There's obviously the big news the other day that it looks like he's effectively rubbed out of the game now for the rest of the year. So there's no point even holding him for whatever. Just get rid of him, clear the decks. I'm getting 430 for him, so I'll take that with most of his form for the year. Wasn't great. I'm finally saying goodbye to Cleary. I just said I want to get rid of guns, but I need this to make my trades work. I need to free up some cash, and I don't want to be holding both him and Hines, who are Hines even looking a bit shaky with injury at the moment. And I'm finally getting rid of Sean Lane. A lot of people will say I'm crazy because he plays this week and it's a number, but he's coming off the bench. Everyone who knows me by now, I can't stand the bloke, and I'm sick of having him on my team. Every week I can't get rid of him. I finally have a way to do so, so I'm taking advantage of that. My trade-ins, I'm going Cole from the Penrith Panthers at 5'8", so that's my cheapie just to generate some stuff, and he'll play well this week. We'll probably talk about him a bit more to come, but I'm not confident about him being in the team any longer than this week, so it's maybe just a little quick cash grab and moving the next player in my team, which is Joey Manu. He's my keeper. I love the fact that I've got him in my team. Jesse said it, like he's doing remarkable things at center wing, and if we ever get the bonus games with him at fullback, it hasn't been great. The fact that Teddy wasn't named at fullback for a super coach point of view, but if we ever get the odd bonus games of him there, I'm cheering as well. And the last one, Jacob Preston from the Bulldogs. So he's in there for Lane. Nice little upgrade, and he obviously gets some increased minutes starting edge spot with Viliama Kicker out for about 6 weeks now. So I think he's one of those almost must-have categories at the moment, I think, Jacob Preston. So, Jesse, anything to say on that, or do you just want to go into yours? Because I think you've got kind of similar.
Yeah, no, I don't really have too much. Like obviously Jack Cole, I had mad raps and I was trying to he was in my plans. Not thinking Schneider was gonna be back this early. I was expecting at least a couple more weeks gone. But um yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of put me off because obviously Schneider's in covering Cleary. He's the first choice. Cole's there basically filling the seat for Luai while he's out. And I would expect that to go straight back to, Luai Schneider until Cleary's back and then Cleary Luai. Yeah, I don't know if he makes enough cash though to do anything with. But you'll be able to get some points out of him in the meantime, and it's a very generous sort of cash down. He's so cheap. So, it's an enabler. He can let you do a lot of things, so that's fine. Yeah, Manu, fantastic. I still hate that I don't have him. Him and Karaz, you've got both, and it's like, fuck, I can't believe that I don't have either of them. And Preston, yeah, I'm heavy on Preston at the moment. I think he's going to be a great pick, great price. Side looks good. Buy rounds are great. Like, what's not to like about it? He's a weapon. So he's in my plans. I've got him in this week. I have to go back and have a look at my initial trade ideas because I have reversed it. I think it was Karaz in. The problem is I don't have a center that I want to trade this week. I'm really stuck with the centers that I've got. Um, I've got Holmes, Garrick, and Azarko. Neither of the three I want to trade out at all. Like I want to
I'll
keep
tell you,
them.
I can tell you the trades because I've got it up here. Your ones that you sent to me the other day. Is that the ones you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I ended up reversing those ones anyway,
Yeah.
but I was very
So
keen on
you
that until team list.
you had Joe Chan, Cleary, and Idro out. Preston, Cole, and Karaz in.
Yeah. So things changed when the team list came out, and I said, I'm not so hot on that idea anymore. But yeah, when it comes to my center wing, I've got those three guys that I'm very, very happy to hold long term. Kyle Lero, who has been absolute, he's been doing great. He's been doing really, really good stuff. Got him for nothing. Very impressive player, and he obviously plays. And the Sharks have a great buy run too. Like it's just not necessary. As far as cash gen goes, he might not have too much more left in him. But the other three that I've got, Blaze Talungi, headaches this week, dramas with the bench thing. David Armstrong, Suafai Logo. I'm not ready to get rid of him yet. They haven't hit their mark yet. They're still valuable. They've still got money to make. Um, it's just too premature for me to want to get rid of him. So it's hard because I want Manu and I want Karaz, and I don't know what to do yet. If it was 2 weeks later, Talungi's capped out, Fologo's basically finished his course, and Pappenhausen's back in the mark. They're both options to trade, but at the moment, I'm not quite there yet. So might be something I do in the next buy, swapping centers out. So I think I'm going to hold off there for now. One that I have looked at is Edwards out for Tedesco.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's that gun I don't want to sell.
yeah. I'm reluctant to. Got Edwards in 3 weeks ago. He's bagged 300 plus points. He's been unbelievable. He's a very, very valid hold. I think it's fair play to hold him. There's no reason to trade, but again, I just don't know how many games he plays in the next run. So obviously he's at Origin, so that's fine, and that's when the Panthers have their buys too. So it's like just ride it out. It's not a problem. He's going to be playing a long time, but does he back up in the meantime? I've got players to cover in the meantime for him anyway, but the Roosters have such a good draw. They've got such a good draw for so long. Obviously, I lose him immediately next week, which sucks. I would be pretty gutted if Edwards plays next week and Tedesco doesn't. But again, I'm not locked in on that. But it allows a couple things. I don't know if I'm going to even lock this one in, but I don't mind the look of it. It's Joe Chan is the player that I need to get rid of. He's just anchoring me down, and it's Joe Chan straight to Preston. That's kind of what I want to do. The intention in a couple of weeks is potentially Crichton to Fafita as well, so I'm not going to let that happen now. And yeah, doing the Edwards to Tedesco, Joe Chan to Preston, I can't afford it directly, like for like. But I can go Nathan Cleary to Jerome Hughes preemptively. I still have 14 players currently. I won't have Hughes this week, but I will have him for a long run after that. And at least I have him. And then I can kind of ride off it. It's just, I'm just basically utilizing the third trade this week to get those other two in. But again, the whole Edwards Tedesco thing is such a luxury that I'm not in love with it either. I also just tabled up going Cleary to Schneider and Chan to Preston. 2 trades done. Nice and easy. Obviously, they don't have their 16 and 19 buys. They miss them, but they play the minis, which is nice. I probably get some use out of Schneider until about round 19 or 20 anyway, which is pretty good. And he's going to make money too. Like he's actually been really good in Cleary's absence, averaging over 60. And he's got a negative break even. So that's also what I'm thinking. It's either one or the other. I'm still tossing up. I'm still making combos work and having a bit of a play with it. But yeah, sort of where my head's at. I just really want to be able to get some good centers in, but I'm just not ready to trade the ones that I have. It'd just be irresponsible, I think.
You've confused the shit out of everyone. We got no idea what you're doing. So just let us know. Let us know in the study
I'll let
group
you know.
at some point.
Yeah,
And we'll go from that. So it is pretty much that week though. It's such a head fucking away
a
this
little bit.
week because it's sort of like it's that balancing act. As you said, you can just go that option where you just set yourself up for future, your team up, and you just say, I've got enough players this week. Let's just go for it. No worries. You probably got the people who are saying, I don't care who I've got. I'm actually just going to save some trades this week. That could be an option. They just go, you know what? I don't care. I don't need to get anyone in. Leave my team how it is. Stuff to buy. Whatever. See you later. Or you got the players who we've already spoken about who are just going hot, heavy hand and just going all in with this buy coverage, and they'll just smash their teams with the buys and stuff themselves for the next couple of weeks. But there's so many options out there, which has made me very curious to know the top tens for trade ins and outs this week. Oh, where do we start? Give me the trade outs this week, actually, because I want to play a game this week. I wanted every time you tell me a player trade out, I'm going to predict the most traded in player for that player, and let's see how right I can get
Oh,
it.
it's a bit tricky to try and go like for like because when there's like multiple trade combos, especially with three, they just use the value of that player.
Ah,
So it kind of skews it a little bit, but you can get a
don't worry
decent
about it.
idea. Like when you've got like Hines out, if someone can just move a halfback or something to half, maybe a center up, get themselves a center, then
Yeah.
you've always got Hines to Manu, and it's like, oh, it's not as direct. But for the most traded out player this week, it is Nico Hines. 14,000, over 10%.
Talk to me straight up. Um, I understand the thinking. I'll say that right now. I understand the thinking behind it. The calf issue, whether he even plays Origin or not, we don't know yet. But even if he does, I doubt he'll back up any of those Origins if he does play all three. That's a big if as well because if anyone watched the live show, that Moses is, if he is back this week and he gets through the next couple of weeks, I've got no doubt in my mind he'll get chosen in game two. He's just got that control element to his game that I don't think Nico has. Um, there's so many and then if that does happen and Nico's still playing the buys and stuff for the Sharkies, then people want to make sure they've got him. So I kind of, in a way, even though I understand the thinking behind it, I feel like waiting a week is the better play on Nico just to see what's actually going to happen there with him in terms of this calf because it looked like when he came off, it was almost like a torn calf, but then we've heard it was literally just a small sort of like bruising type thing. It was just like a little flare up. So I don't know. I'd feel like I'd be waiting a week for that because I've got him and I'm waiting at least a week to see what happens. I know he's got a massive BE as well, and that's playing into the hands of people. But here's one of those ones where if I can, I just want to keep him for the year.
Yeah, that's kind of the boat that I'm into. Obviously, a three-pointer at 1.1 mil is the
Mm.
worst possible thing that can happen. 190 break even, but
Captaining
he's
him is worse.
we haven't touched on
No,
our general
I don't want to.
Supercoach overviews. We can do, but just to the point of Nico, I don't know. You're gonna want him soon. A lot of people got off him and immediately jumped back on because Nico did Nico Hines things and scored 150 points quite easily. So um, his break even doesn't worry me as much. You know what I mean? Like I don't see it as an issue unless you're just looking at his price tag and you're thinking, oh, he's going to lose cash. Like he'll make it back up. He went all the way down to 700 and something, I'm pretty sure, at the beginning of the season. Then he went back to 1.1. So, a slight dip, a three in his rolling average is going to suck for 3 weeks. But it'll quickly get rolled out and it'll be back to a mil before you know it. And you'll want him by then anyway. But yeah, how many games does he play over the next 8 weeks? Not sure. Is it worth holding almost a mil on your bench for a month, 2 months? Depends on how much you value a trade, realistically. If there was more glaring options at half, you might actually have a bit of a
Mm.
discussion here. But the thing is, there isn't.
Yeah.
There really isn't. Like I've held Cleary for 4 weeks now, 3 weeks, whatever it is, because I haven't liked any of the options yet. And now, unfortunately, having Hines and Cleary, it's like now I've got nothing at half, and
Mm.
something has to give. But I'd be more inclined to let Cleary go because he's actually injured and not going to be there for at least round 19 that we know of. I would still take Hines in those off games and just, rely on a better score. At least he's
Yeah.
playing. The ceiling is there for it. So I'm going to hold him personally, unless something dire happens and I need him out. Don't have any intention of trading him out. I haven't traded him out this year, so I might just stick with him and roll him out. But yeah, I
We're
can
gonna have
see it though.
13,000 super coaches about to drill us in the comments, so that's going to be really fun.
14,048
14,000.
actually. They're going to say, why would you want to hold on to him because he's that much
Yeah.
money? You can do anything with it, literally anything you want. It makes so much sense. It makes heaps of sense to trade
It
him out.
does.
But I will eventually want to trade him back in, and I don't think it's going to be too far away that I'm going to do that. Like straight after round 19, I'm going to want him anyway for the rest of the season. And I don't know. I don't want to trade him in and out twice within 7 weeks, personally. So not for me, but use the cash wisely. It's gonna be hard to get back to him. Yeah, yeah. And one when I get back to it, it is Joey Lustick. That sucks for everyone that held him. Yeah, he was a long hold for round 13. Never happened.
4-13.
Oh, just for round 13. It was a hold for this round. The Grant Lussick owners out there, I think you're one of them. Whoops, you have no hooker anymore. That sucks. Not like you're
Yeah, but
doing
it's
much
all right.
with it.
Top 13. It's all good.
No, nah, you missed 30 points. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, 378k. He went up and slightly dipped a little bit. Oh, I don't even know who you go to from him. Hopefully, people are getting on Marshall King. Even Reed Marnie looks good. Next trade out is Reece Walsh. Fair, I traded Reece Walsh out 2 weeks ago for Dylan Edwards, and now I've got to sort that out. But yeah, it's in the same boat as every, well, Origin players in general. They're going to be missing. So I don't think he's that caliber too, where you need to keep him. You know what I mean? He's not a Nico Hines. He's not, even all right, Dylan Edwards is definitely that caliber, which is a tricky one. But I feel like with Reece Walsh, it's a confident move on. Like you're like, sweet, thank you for what you've done. I'm going to trade you to someone else now. It's so comfortable, and you're so happy to do it. Some players you just aren't. Number 4 is Jacob Gagai. So yeah, he's made his 100k, and I think with the influx of cash after this round, trading out these mad guns for players that are available, you've just got so much left over to do stuff with, and he's a mad upgrade to anyone if you've got the coin for it. Number 5, Angus Crichton. A little bit early for me on Crichton. I think the only valid trade to go from Crichton is to Fafita. Over the long term anyway. I wouldn't be going from Crichton to anyone else because you're going like for like almost. But yeah, there is still an argument to hold Crichton too.
I'm in that boat. I'm not getting rid of Crichton. He's the form he's in is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to get off him because you got to want him again straight away. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you trade these guys away to fill around, and then all of a sudden, when it's back to regular footy, they're playing and you don't have them anymore, and you're kicking yourself because how are you going to get them back? So
He's
definitely
going
hold.
that good. He's going that good that even though he's not playing this weekend, they'll find a way to give him points. He's going that good. So I'm leaving him in my team, my 13 as well.
He'll get some fandom points. The only drama that I have, like I'm in two minds as well. Like I very much like to hold Crichton, and if I do trade him out, it will be with a way to get him back with something else. Like I'll make sure that I have an avenue to get him back within a few weeks. The only thing that I'm a little concerned of is again, it would be Crichton to Fafita, and I think majority mindset is that exact trade. What happens come the event New South Wales for the people that have already traded him too? Potentially already 2-day for feeder because he's had quite a few trade-ins because maybe it works out for you this week. What happens if Queensland get belted and then they're like, Fafita's got to come in? He has to be there for the rest of the rest of game 2, game 3, and then all of a sudden we don't have Fafita for the rest of the friggin' Origin series, because that's entirely possible.
I
I'd like,
reckon even if they win, I reckon he'll still make the game 2 and 3's team. I think I said it everywhere, every podcast I've been on so far. I'm so shocked he's not in this team. It's just ridiculous. I just reckon he's going to come out, play the next 2 weeks, absolutely on fire, and he will literally just have basically Billy Slater's hands tied behind his back, and he will not be able to not pick him. I still think their bench is a little bit uneven. It doesn't seem like a great bench, and just having him even making that bench spot is just a given. I definitely want Dave Fafita at the moment for Supercoach, but I think I'm going to wait until after game 2 to make my decision on that one because I think he's red hot favourite to get back straight into that team.
Yeah, that's my only deterrent, man. Is like I'd love to just do that trade next week when the
Mm.
Roosters are on a bye because it's not going to worry anyway. Just go Crichton for feeder, done and dusted. Um, and then yeah, he gets picked for. But I suppose in the same time, you think about it, if he gets picked for game two, Crichton's already going to be gone for game two anyway. So they're
Mm.
both gone regardless, and I wouldn't want anyone else. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. Like that's the thing. You need to make these calls. You need to roll the dice a few times, but yeah, it's one or the other. Joe Chan's number 6. Everyone's just been waiting for an opportunity to get rid of him. So I'm very much in that same boat. That's a fair call. Same deal as Gagai. You know, you got coin to spend now. Kikau unfortunately is out, number 7. He was shaping up to be a fantastic little buy pickup too, because he was
What
in
cash did
mad
he get
form.
up to?
He's actually dropped. He's dropped down to 489. So I think he's lower than what he started, or almost what he started at. Um, he started about 470. He's made 20K overall, but as a peak, he's actually dropped down 33 recently. So quite cheap for him, but yeah, he's out for 6 weeks, so not going to happen. Taylor May, number 8, he's out for the season, so definitely not going to happen. Get rid of him.
Bye bye.
Zach Lomax, number 9. I really like where Zach Lomax's price is heading. He's currently 676. Yeah, he wasn't long ago. He was, at least 100 odd
What's the
50K
break
more.
even?
So of Lomax,
Yeah.
85. Very attainable for him this season so far, anyway, what it seems. So, yeah, he's still owned by 13%, 21,000, but he's been traded out by a good handful, at least 3 odd percent. So, yeah, he could be a great option come Origin, post Origin time too. Just seems how it goes. And number 10 is Dylan Edwards. So, few of those new owners are getting rid of him potentially, or people that have held him for a while and got the most out of him would be fantastic. But yeah, look, as far as it goes with Dylan Edwards, he's actually gone up in cash like almost every week, so he hasn't had a drop. He's 950K. Doesn't play this week. Probably doesn't play next week. Might play round 15. Won't play round 16. Probably won't play round 17. Will play round 18. Won't play round 19. There's not enough games in there. It's
I'm
just not
holding
enough.
on to you, brother. You're a
Fuck,
gun.
he's a gun, but
You're
there
a
are other
gun.
guns, and there's not enough. There isn't enough games there. It's tricky.
Teddy stung me once. I'm not going back to Teddy. Teddy stung me before this year. See you later. I don't want to think about you. Bye bye.
No, easier just to write it off.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's not many other options at fullback that are fit, firing, and in good form. The only issue is obviously Roosters don't play next week, um, which is honestly it actually is a concern too. I wish I could just say, oh, it's just a mini buy, we can cover it. Roosters, Dolphins, Raiders, man. There's some solid players in these teams, and a lot of us stacked up. Crichton, Terrell May, Manu, Sam Walker, um, Tedesco potentially, and that's just the Roosters. And then you can look at your Dolphins, Marshall King, um, Izako,
Psycho Plath.
Plath is a big one. Fuller, obviously you'd expect Hammer to go back through, but he's out too. Um, and Ewan Aiken, he's not
Bostock
heavily
might
owned,
have
but
stoners.
yeah, exactly, man. That's a whole team. And
It's
then you don't
it's
even
pretty
mention,
big. It is.
and then you got the Raiders. At the moment, really, I'd imagine it's probably just Smithies. Maybe people with Levi just relying on him to just get some points this week.
Cheapies.
Just cheapies that were just held onto for dear life. So yeah, it's going to come up pretty quick, and I don't know. You just got to have a look, see if you can work it out, what players you're missing, and what players actually come back in, whether you can cover it or not. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty brutal round. So that's the only thing that's kind of deterring all Roosters players, because I'd love to have all of them, but unfortunately, it is what it is. So yeah, there are traded outs. But interestingly enough, the traded ins very much exactly what I just said. A lot of Roosters players. Tedesco's number 1, 15,000. About the same amount people trading out Nico
Wow.
Hines. People jumping. They're racing to get onto Tedesco. 824K now. I remember when he was 650 on his little bounce back. Break even of 28 too. So sort of have to do it this week. Obviously, you're not going to get him in next week. He's on a bye. So you get him in for now. You get him in against the Cowboys at home. Roosters home game against the Cows. Could be a bloodbath too. Mate, he's got a point to prove, man. He's been dropped. He's going to come out of the gates firing. You know what I mean? It's going to be a massive gain for him. And I think people that have him for this round 13 bye with the limited teams are going to be very happy they do have him. So it's a tricky one. It's a difficult spot to be in.
It is. It is.
You still holding Edwards?
I'm still holding Edwards.
Still holding.
um,
Not leaving.
I don't know. I might have to have a play around with some stuff, but I don't like.
I like your trades, but I do. I really like your
Yeah,
trades, but again, like I don't know if you can shuffle something around. How much more money you can get instead of Cole. See if you can work around it. Nafahu White is the second most traded in player.
yes.
Big appeal temporarily.
Yep.
He's a dual position, front, second row, 379k. Played big minutes at lock 2 last week, real big minutes, and scored really well. Obviously, they've got Collins and Lenu out, so the stocks have thinned up a little bit. Tarame's starting because of that, which is very, very nice. Radley's covering for Crichton on the edge. White keeps his lock position. But for how long? But again, the price it's not enough to worry. He's not 600k, he's 380. You get him in, he does a job, you can shift him around. You're not going to lose a great deal. He's probably going to go up a bit in coin. He's got a 15 break even. So, he might make you 100k while he's still valuable, but again, he's not a long-term thing. And I don't know, you'd be getting him in for, again, buy round coverage, but you lose him immediately, which sucks.
Yeah.
Sam Walker's third. So we're just going Roosters, Roosters, and Roosters again. So Sam Walker's been heavily traded in for the last 3 weeks too. 685k. He still hasn't really pipped like a massive price tag either. I think kind of reflects with his scoring. It is quite inconsistent. It's a 40 or it's 100. You know what I mean? And it's been that for this whole month, I would say. He's had a couple of good ones and a couple of shit ones. Still, he's got great value for the long term anyway. David Armstrong's number 4. I would have thought at 41% ownership, most people would have already, had an idea about him.
Yeah.
If you don't have him now, he's got to be a key target trade in. Massive. 388k minus 53 break even. Fair enough. He's made 140 odd k. It's definitely not too late, I reckon, to get on him. Definitely not too late to get him.
I also don't
He's
know what
gonna
you're
be
doing having been on him already.
no, exactly.
It's
Like he's
crazy.
been a gun. He's been a weapon. He's a dual center and fullback. There's always someone to move to get someone like that. But yeah, only 6,000 people this week too. But again, he's very heavily owned already. Dylan Brown, number 5. I would imagine dual halfback has a lot to do with that. A lot of people moving Hines and Cleary potentially on. There's not many 5'8s to worry about. So, and Moses and Gutho back too. So you just expect him to get back to his best running game, which would be nice. Number 6 is Jack de Belin. In the write-up that I posted in the subbies group, I did actually mention de Belin as a really good option, especially around buy periods. I did it last year. I got de Belin at this time of year, and I just wrote him out for the rest of the year. And it was mainly around base stats, and it's like the Dragons' draw isn't nice coming up. Their buy period run isn't too bad, but their fixtures are really shit for them. Like they're going to cop it. But for a player like de Belin, that's kind of where his work rate comes out of. Like that's his base. He gets his tackles, he gets his hit ups. He's all about that kind of stat anyway. And against the hard teams, he's going to have to do it more anyway. So great option. Not a lot of value upside, but I think you're getting him at what he's at, and it's just really handy to have. So I'm a big fan of the de Belin play. There is one other front rower too that I am a fan of that hasn't been included in this top 10, but number 7 is Jacob Carraz. So that was me 2 days ago. Very keen, but I don't know. It's a bit tricky now. You've already got him. you're blessed. He's been his last 3 round average is like over 95 or something. He's killing it. He's a gun. Said it all year. Just haven't done it
I
yet.
don't like him at center. I'll say that. I don't like him at center.
I don't like him at center, and I also don't like him without Burton, Kickow, Crichton next to him. There's a lot of key outs for that team that has been performing quite well on the back of those guys. So he's out of his like a favourable position for him scoring wise for points in general, with a lot of outs, a lot of very important ones. I don't know. I just don't know if his
I'm
upside is there, but he
I'm
makes
happy I've got him, but
yeah
I would not be going out of my way to trade him in this weekend. I think there's
yeah
too much against him to actually get him. I think it's another week to get him if you're going to.
yeah. He makes his own points though.
Mm.
That's the thing. Like his base is incredible. His floor is massive. He'll get you 50 points in hit ups and runs, and
Can
that's
you do
it.
that at center?
That's the tricky part. Don't
Mm.
know.
That's why I'm
Probably
saying I wouldn't be.
probably
I'm
not.
surprised he's actually in the top 10. I know it's a number, and I
I
think that
think
has a lot
yeah,
to do with it as well. And obviously he would then like it could be it's a future play as well because if you have Kraz, like I don't think I'm going to sell Kraz anytime soon. So
I
it
wouldn't.
is definitely a future play as well. And you're just waiting for him to get back to the wing and Crichton on his inside. So
Yeah, well, it's only going to take a few weeks for him to be in that position anyway, and then
yeah,
you've got him. And it's like mad. I don't have to worry about it. Obviously, he might take a hit in the meantime, but 24 break even. It's going to be the lowest he has for a long time. He's 800k. Like he's gonna be quite. He's already expensive. He's already one of the top dogs. Only Manu, I think, is dearer than him. So for that, you're kind of like, oh, do you just get Manu? Well, unless you didn't already have him. Like you're in a position, you've got Karaz, didn't have Manu, perfect. But if you had to choose between the two, right now, I'd be picking Manu.
Manu, 100%.
So that's kind of it, really. But again, like Karaz's ownership's still so low, 6%, even with everything that he's been doing. And his
Leave it that
additional,
way. Leave it. Leave it.
yeah, it's
Don't
just
come on.
nuts. Yeah, so good. But yeah, 800k, you're basically getting me to what his peak is too. Like I reckon he doesn't go too much higher. He'll get this cash rise in this 24. Don't know how much he'll score, but yeah, a lot of it he makes his own points, which is really nice. Um, the next is Joey Manu. There you go. Straight segue. He's elite, man. He's a gun. He's the best. He's the best there is at the moment. So 838k. You're keeping him at center. You're not getting him at fullback. Worth every penny, I reckon. Just do it if you can afford it. Get it done. Number nine's Jack Cole. Surprisingly, I thought Schneider would be in this list. Surely, you just read between the lines of it. Cole probably won't be there next week. But Cole had a great round last week. Minus 44 break even. It's going to go mooning after this round anyway. But then I think that might be the end of his line. There's not too much more left in that one, unless Luai gets injured all of a sudden, and then Jack Cole owners stand up. It'd be massive.
All right.
And yeah, number 10, Reed Marnie.
Just with the Cole thing, just quickly, I want to
Yes.
mention Ivan Cleary is renowned for this now in resting his players as well. So I actually think we'll get one more week from Cole. I don't think Luai will play next week.
Fair point. He always rests the players
So
after Origin.
I think we'll get this pairing for 2 weeks straight, which gives people enough time to get another little bit of cash from Cole, hopefully. And then who knows what happens.
Yeah. So you can get a bit of cash out of Cole. He got a minus 44, which is freaking, it's really good. Like you don't usually get that kind of break even at the moment, especially in a 5A position. But just trying to think, top of my
And
head,
and
like
they're
where do you,
versing a Dragons team this week without their two main players to get him anything in Lomax and Ben Hunt. So
yeah,
I know the Penrith Panthers have a lot out, but we know what Penrith can do. They've just got people in this
they'd
system
be
that's just
fine.
ridiculous. And
That'll be fine.
I can honestly see Penrith scoring a fair few tries this game. So I think Cole will get a sneaky try or two, and I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm on board. No one's talking me out of it. I'm on.
No, I think it's still great, honestly. Like I still think Cole, like you saw what he did last week. It was a very impressive performance, but it's the longevity of that position. Like how long can he keep it? You made the point of trading in players for the long term. You want guns in, and obviously he's an enabler for that position to get two guns in. But you're going to need to sort him at some point. But like 5'8" is such an ugly spot anyway. You don't have to do too much. You got Galvin. Galvin has been a revelation, who started off as just a cheapy nowhere position and has become honestly a stick, like an absolute season long hold as far as it goes. Like, where do you go from him? Who's actually been better than Galvin points wise? Obviously, for the team, different, but for the points, there's hardly been anyone better than him. So, if you're gonna leave a dead spot, I would be very happy to put it in 5'8". And to that point, I mentioned in the subbies group with the Tigers, just so your Cole Galvin little pair up. After this round, the Tigers don't have a bye until round 26. It's just all the way
Okay.
through, just straight sailing, literally entire length of it all. So, um, yeah, it's Galvin season. Just let Cole rot away on your bench as long as you need to.
No,
If it allows you to get at Manu, then yeah, very very fair. So that's the 10, and then yeah, Reed Marnie, 10th most traded in player, and it's probably what's that, the first hooker in the list. I would have expected personally to see Marshall King amongst that list, but Marnie's been killing it. Fair enough. Bulldogs look good too.
fair,
So
fair enough indeed. All right, let's get to some of these trades. Everyone sent them through. I've got to get to it. Let's bring them up. Internet. Geez, there's been a lot of people message this page today. I'm sifting through. Just quickly, you did mention there was a prop forward or something you were looking at that wasn't on the
oh,
list.
true. That's right.
So mention that
Tarpany.
while I'm finding them.
Yeah, I really like. There's two players, especially in prop, and I tend to go to them most years anyway, because again they never get selected for Origin, and they're always weapons. It's DeBellin, one, and Joseph Tarpany, and he hasn't really hit the lights like he did in previous seasons, like especially the season before last. He was an absolute gun freak. His points per minute, he played 40 minutes, 45 minutes on average, and he would score 70 points a game. So he's got this massive output in him, but again, this season it hasn't really been there for whatever reason. I still like it though. I think when it comes to the Raiders in general, they have all been tanking a little bit. Like no one's really been a standout for the side, and I think it just reflects on the talent. Like there's not a great deal, a lot of youngsters in there. Um, for the Raiders, again, you do lose them next week, which is an issue, but they play 15, 16, 17, 18. They're out for round 19, but you get them from 2021 and all the way through for the rest of the year. So it's actually just next week, round 19, which is obviously a concern for everyone. Um, but 567, like he's as cheap as like you can go Terrell May to Tarpany, and traditionally, like I wouldn't trade Terrell May at the moment because he's starting and he looks the goods, but Tarpany's a gun. Like he was up there in that
Mm.
bracket of elite front row forwards with your Haas, Fanua Blake. I would go Haas, Fanua Blake, Tarpany personally, or obviously Tino as well, but he's been out for the season. So outside of that, like I would put him right up in there, just below that very very top tier. Which hasn't really got there yet, but I reckon he can, and it's a good period to do it for. So yeah, and again, super low ownership. So really nice player
Oh,
to get you offset points these rounds. So what do you got in the trades?
I don't mind that. Sam.wiggy via Instagram traded Stags for Armstrong, Carrigan for Max Plath, Brad Parker for Jack DeBellin.
Hmm. Yeah, Brad Parker. What? That's unusual. Yeah, no, they're fair. All of them. All of them are quite good. Plath's going to play all the buys. Lose him next week. It's fine. You get to Bellin and cover it, and then Armstrong. Yeah, it's a shame you haven't already had him, but they're solid.
Yeah,
I like
no,
that.
I like that. as well. Trades.
How much is Max Plath at the moment, actually? Curiously. Because I suppose it all just
I,
depends on what. Like, is
I
he
thought it
going to be
was like
playing in
low
his?
500s, low 500s, I think.
He's 500. Yeah, and I guess is he playing him as a second rower or not? Um, for
Perhaps.
that discussion, maybe a little different story, but he has been very, very good, and he's been playing decent minutes too with a duel. Yeah, yeah, I can't argue against it. Of course, it's been
Yeah.
solid.
No, I don't mind those at all. So, that was pretty much it. Actually, I put the post up quite late, so I don't think a lot of people have been had time to get around it, and it's pretty confusing week as well. So I think, and there was a couple more, but we've already covered them. They're almost mirrored what we were doing. So there's no point going over those ones as well. I guess the last thing to say is just basically good luck with what you choose to do for this week. It is just a reminder. It's only the 13 scoring players, so don't go out of your way to just make sure there's 17 or something. You don't have to. It's 13 players. Is it 13 starting or is it literally just 13 in your squad? Just
So
to
it's
make
your
sure that's clear.
13 top scorers. So if you've got no halves like myself, obviously
Or
we won't get
hookers.
scored on halves or hookers. Make sure that you've got reserves on the players on your bench that are actually playing because they're the ones that'll be counted. If you've got more than, if you've got freaking 17 players, or you can say you've got 18 players, you've got a full team and a full set of four, it'll only be the players that you've got picked as reserves that are going to get counted though. It won't be the guys you don't have picked. No one will be in that position to have luxury where they've got excess of players um, scoring, but it'll be the 13 top scorers out of your selected team, which includes your reserves. So yeah. I've got 14 with one reserve player, and that's my hookers. I've got Marshall King and Brayley will be my 14th player. My whole starting 13 is starting as an individual group. So, except my halves, unless I do the Schneider thing. But yeah, it's a very easy thing to get around too. And it basically gives you a free loop as well, because all you have to do is just put the captaincy on anyone that's not playing and you'll still get the 13 top scorers anyway. So it's very, very, it's a free week for it. So yeah, make sure you get your vice captain set. It could be a
Yes.
very valuable asset this week. Um,
I've been planning that. So that's a big
Correct.
one. That could be
Who are you?
huge. That could be
Who's your?
huge.
I suppose it kind of depends on trades, but who are you looking at captain
Yeah.
this week?
I think my captain this week. Oh, just quickly, I know it's a podcast. We don't like awkward silence, so I'll just try and talk about something while I load this
Mm,
up. My captaincy at the moment I've got is Manu. I think there'll be a
okay.
bloodbath, as you said, for the Roosters against an undermanned Cowboys team. So I think Manu will be able to score some good points.
Yep. No,
Vice
that's good.
captain at the moment, I've got Asako.
I'm in the same boat as you. I've got vice captain Azarko, but at the moment with my Tedesco trade in, like, he's currently in my side with a captaincy on him. So um, that's what I'd be looking at doing. The same sort of game. Again, when it comes to your looping though, basically have to do a quick captaincy chuck it on Angus Crichton because he'll be the last player that I've got left to do it on. So do you want to go over your round that was?
Oh yeah, we'll quickly do that before we go. I know how much you want to talk about this. So guys, let's end on a high. Currently 11 o'clock at night, recording this, about to end. Um, for me, I made the stupid thing of captaining Nico Hines against Penrith Panthers, and
Terrible.
that's basically how my round went. Now, in saying that, I still ended up scoring quite decently, and I went up like 4 spots. I didn't go up much in the overall rankings, but I did go up in the end, which I was absolutely shocked about. So I got 1,197, put me in the top 22%. My total score 13,303. And my season rank is 15,767. Oh, bless me. 767. And that was up 4 spots on the
I
weekend.
believe you
So
only climbed
if
4
I got,
spots. It's wild.
it's because I didn't get the captaincy right. This is now twice in 3 weeks I have fucked up with my captaincy. And I honestly reckon I've cost myself so far 300 points at least.
At least.
And I could be in the top like 5,000 something if I've got these captaincy options right. It's
Yeah.
not great.
It's kind
But
of all
anyway,
it takes, really, isn't it?
and I think both times I've been stuck with Hines actually, both times. And
When
now
you gonna
Hines
hold
was a
him?
late choice for me as well, and that's the freaking pain in the thing. Oh, that's what
Just
this week I'm just trusting my gut. Going with my trades that I trust my gut with moving forward. Off you go. Let me know that you love to talk about. You're on form at the moment.
um okay. Well, I didn't captain Hines because I'm not a moron. No, I'm just putting it on you. No, that was very unfortunate, and like I can understand the play, but again, it was very silly. Don't captain anyone against Penrith, especially not when they're injured. Um, but that's just yeah, it sucked to see it. As soon as I saw that game and 3 points, I was like, oh Joel, you poor soul. I captained Drinkwater, 105, so decent enough. I was pretty happy with that. I had better options there, but I just hindsight, not gonna cry about it. You captained a 3 pointer, so that kind of sucked. I scored 1,300, so 1,300 on the dot. I climbed 1,307 spots, and now my season rank is 3,124. So pushing it, getting closer,
He's climbing. He's coming. He's coming,
getting
guys. Look out.
getting closer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still
Um,
still so far away from the top group though by points. Bloody hell, 1,000.
yeah,
It's insane.
it's
They've
crazy.
left a bit of a gap in that pack, but again, man, a few bad captains. Hoping a lot of people captained Hines out of that group because yeah, it's gonna be hard to claw back any more than I have. But
Credit
no,
to
good
the
times.
top dogs. They're doing very, very well this year. Before we end the podcast, just want to shout out to the inaugural League of Inches draft comp that I'm currently winning by 6 points, guys. So 3 wins clear of the rest of the flogs in the group. Most of them claim they've got experience in draft and how good they are and stuff. I'm a newcomer to the draft scene and I'm literally wiping the floor with all these muppets at the moment. So credit to
You are doing
everyone
well.
in the comp. My team has just I'll personal massages are coming to each and every player of the inch at a time team, but credit to them. Shout out. That'll get bigger and better next year. That comp as well. But thanks, guys. That's all we got time for. We're wrapping things up. Managed to make this a good episode lengthwise. Hit that subscribe button if you are watching on YouTube. If you aren't, go over to YouTube, give us a subscribe. We get to 1K. We want to get to 1K before this season is over. It'll be huge for the page. So please share it around, help us get there. Good night, Jesse. Have a great night. Go and look at your trades and confirm to us tomorrow what you got.
I will. You too, mate. Cheers.
Catches.